Hey everyone, Richard Metalfan here, and today we talk Pandemonic Incantations by Behemoth. Now, this is the band's third full-length album released in 1998, and hard to believe this album came out 20 years ago today. But yeah, let's just dive into this. After their first couple releases, especially after their previous album, which came out in 96, being Grom, and of course they released one EP before that, in between that, which was Reaching the Pomerania, which came out in 97, Behemoth decided to change things up musically. Like with their first few releases were death metal, and around 97, then they decided to sort of like ditch sort of like the straight up black metal sound and go with more of a death metal or blackened death metal, whatever it is you want to call it. And honestly, I feel like this is sort of like I consider the second phase of Behemoth's career, or the second chapter, I should say. And I honestly think it's a pretty good move on their part. And musically, it could definitely hear a lot of the death metal influences, like mainly like the guitars, like the drumming, and also the drums. They also have their first full length album with their current drummer Inferno, who's still with them to this day, although he did briefly leave at one point from what I've researched. He does a really good job, and it's like, again, there's with I believe Sventevith, they're a two-piece with just them, with Inferno and Nurgle handling all the vocals and guitars and the bass. Although they had a bass player that was credited on here named Mephisto, but he didn't even play on this from what I've gathered. Yeah, production-wise, it's pretty solid. I mean, there's a couple production nitpicks I have with it, like sometimes in like some mixes on some of the tracks. But yeah, but overall, let's just dive into this track by track. Now the album opens up with a little intro called Diabelia, I keep fucking that up, which is the great introduction, which is an instrumental. It's less than a minute long. It's a very short opening, and it belongs into these sort of rare intros that live up to their name. And orchestral opulence and conjuring vocals lead the audience straight to hell before the first regular track breaks loose, and that would be the first actual song, being The Thousand Plagues I Witnessed. It starts strong but flounders like sort of like near the end, and an excellent blast of blackened riffing transitioning into sort of like a slithering folk melody before the band drops what is arguably, in my opinion, the first death metal tune of their career. And Nurgle's pitch black shrieks have always been preferred by me personally, and on this he vomits his sort of like acidic howls and growls, much scarier than the typical growl stuff he bells with sort of like on later albums. And sadly, like I said with some production flaws, I feel like the guitars are kind of a bit poorly mixed on here, and inexcusably sort of like low solo, and a bit too much blast beats. And I mean, I love blast beats, but doing it like a bunch of time, all like nonstop, can get kind of rough. But yeah, moving on to the next song, being Satan's Sword I Have Become, has a riff that will sound wickedly hypnotic at first, and I honestly feel like this song kind of has a little bit of lack of diversity, but it also has like a really hell of a rhythm section groove, and it's a pretty decent track all on its own. Indi Pandemeterium, which is a faster paced song. I feel like at this point we start to notice some change, and this song is a really better because the riffs are a bit more just, I don't know. When the vocals are passable and the drumming is pretty good. The riffs themselves seem very interesting and melodic, and probably the best song on here so far. Driven by the Five-Winged Star. And I just think it's interesting how we're at track 5 and we have a song called Driven by the Five-Winged Star, which, I mean, stars have 5 points, but whatever. Anyway, another more melodic song, and we could see that right from the first riff. Even though it kind of sounds a little bit doomish and a bit slow, it sounds a bit more melodic and atmospheric. And around like 40 seconds into the song sort of picks up speed, and we get more melody. We even get like a quick solo in the background, and it isn't the only solo. And this song is full of short but to the point and melodic solos, making it one of the best songs on the album. The Past is Like the Funeral starts off pretty doomish and slow again before No Girl Screams come in. Then the song picks up with sort of speed and melody. And the song while long and very interesting, does have some melody and atmosphere, so that already makes it a better than like the first few tracks in the beginning, which were a real pain to listen to. Well, then we go into the entrance to the Sphere in Mars, which in my opinion is the best song on here. Here it starts off with a melodic but blackened riff, and although the constipated, which is, I don't know what way it sounded, describe the vocals on here, return here. I love that, like similar to the last track, it also has like added melody and atmosphere, which makes it pretty enjoyable to listen to. And then we go into Chala Mordekam, which I'm not even gonna pronounce that. It's a song sung in Polish, which is a decent song. And it's sort of like unremarkable fusion of like fist pumping symphonics and slow riffing. And really, there isn't really nothing much to say here, and it seems hastily put together, but I honestly feel like it could be honestly forgotten. And then it closes with an outro, which is okay. Now, overall, Pandemonic Incantations by Behemoth is a solid edition. It's sort of like a transition from their earlier black metal stuff to more death metal to blackened death metal, whatever genre you want to classify it as. If I were to give this album a score, I'd probably give this a solid 7.5 out of 10. So yeah, that's my review of Pandemonic Incantation, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, and I'll see you all in the next video, and keep it metal.